YouTube channel. So I'd like to thank you first and foremost for liking, for subscribing to the YouTube channel. And again today I'm with Lincoln Majobo, advocate. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How's work and everything else?
Work is alright, and thank you for having us today.
Yeah. So today, just to go straight to the point, we're going to discuss on the registration of properties and trusts. First and foremost, probably you could help us on how people can register their properties under trust.
All right. So the first thing is to deal with the misconceptions that people have surrounding trust, because the moment you invoke the word trust in Zimbabwe, it's synonymous with a family trust, because it's the most common form of trust which is registered under Zimbabwean law.
Okay.
However, there's various other forms of trust that exist. Trust where you can say in a will, after you are dead, your property should be put in a trust. That trust we call a testamentary trust.
Okay.
And then a trust that you can set up while you're still alive. So there's more than 20 types of trust.
Okay.
And in Zimbabwe, we are used to the family trust because that's the most common type of trust that we use. But the registration of a trust in Zimbabwe is a very simple process. It doesn't require much. All you need to do is to have someone draft a trust deed for you, which is the document which is going to regulate how that trust is going to operate.
Okay.
So one of the main things that is critical or that is essential for us to discuss during that process is the object or the purpose within which you are setting that trust. So if you are setting that trust for an illegal purpose, then it's not going to be registered. And even if it's registered, it's going to be disregarded. So if you set a trust for the purposes of evading your obligations, let's say you know that some other time you're going to divorce with your wife and you want to hide assets from your wife, where your wife has a genuine claim or share for that property, then the court has the power to disregard that trust. But essentially, if the objects are lawful, then all you need is to have a trust deed and to appear before a notary public who is going to execute that trust deed. And once that trust deed has been executed, it is then lodged with the deeds registry. So basically, that is the process of setting up a trust in Zimbabwe.
All right. Okay. So maybe looking into that, we can now talk of the benefits and the disadvantages of registering a property in trust. Yeah, probably you can help us.
Yeah, so we'll start with advantages or the benefits. Well, there's so many advantages and benefits. If you're a person who regularly goes to the bank, he takes out loan, debt, and all that, you of course want to protect your property from creditors. Because if you default on your obligations, then creditors are going to come after your property. So that's one of the main reasons which makes a trust attractive, because you are once you put that property in a trust, it ceases to be your property, it becomes the property or the trust. So there's asset protection. Two, there's you can provide for protection of your family or your children in the event of uncertainties like death. So you would remember that back then, before the new laws came into place, if your parents died, your relatives would be allowed to come and take everything. But if you have put that property in a trust, then your children are protected. There is no need for ambiguities as to who should take what and who should take what. So it's always good as part of your planning. Three, there's tax benefits that come with a trust. Because in most cases, if you don't register a trust, let's say you die without a trust or without leaving a will, the law in Zimbabwe is that the surviving spouse inherits the matrimonial property. So what that means is that your children will not have any share in that piece of property. But more importantly, once you go through that route, you have duties or taxes that you're supposed to pay. One of which is called estate tax, estate duty, which is 4% of the value of that property. You're also going to pay master's fees, which is also 4%, 3%. So now we're at 7%. You're also going to pay conveyancer's fees, which is going to be 3%. So you're looking at 10% tax that you're going to give to government because you went through this other process. But if you go through trust, you can evade all of these taxes.
All right.
And so it becomes a cheap process of protecting your assets and at the same time mitigating your risks of tax or your tax burden to the government. So basically those are some of the main benefits or the things that makes a trust attractive.
Okay.
Now to the disadvantages. So we have irrevocable and irrevocable trust. So a revocable trust means you're allowed to revoke it. Let's say, for instance, there's ingratitude. You have donated a property in a trust to your child, and that child seeks to evict you from that property. So that is ingratitude in a way, because they're not supposed to be doing that. So you are allowed to revoke that trust and say, okay, yes, I deposed to this trust, but I'm now revoking. I'm taking it back. But there is also what we call an irrevocable trust, which is to say there's no flexibility whatsoever. Once you have donated to that trust, you can't revoke it. So that's one of the disadvantages of a trust. Second disadvantage is that to the trustees, the persons who are in charge of administering that property, their powers are regulated in terms of the trust deed. So there's limitations, because if the founder of the trust imposes certain obligations upon trustees, the do's and the don'ts, then you have to work with those do's and don'ts. So there's little room for you to then exercise your discretion, because you are bound to the terms of the trust deed. So those are some of the disadvantages of a trust, but overall I think the advantages outweighs the disadvantages.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, those are good points. Those are good points. As you had it for yourself, you have asset protection, and you also have things like I can't say tax evasion, but it's somewhat something like that.
Tax benefits.
Yeah, tax benefits rather. So thank you so much for assisting us and helping them know. If you have any questions or any points that you need us to highlight or discuss on, please don't hesitate to comment below, and we'll definitely discuss on that. Thank you.
Thank you.